Life in every orifice and pore, I re-enter my body and I live once more.
Hey.
There we go. Got me.
Good to see you.
Yeah, how you doing? What's up?
I'm good. Yourself?
Just a little busy today. It's just been kind of crazy. Got up early and had to take care of a bunch of stuff.
You've been grinding.
Yeah. I just drove about 140 kilometers.
Wow. Doug, what is it that you do, if I may ask?
Well, today I was trying to let's see, I do a bunch of engineering work, and I build race car engines and that kind of thing. Yeah, for example, like here's a Porsche engine I'm building right now.
Oh wow.
It's I just got a bunch of parts.
Is that the classic Porsche Boxer engine?
Yeah. Got the engine bearings. I'm doing a bunch anyway.
So
that's kind of what I do. I do that and all sorts of other problems. Anything that's a problem. That's kind of what I get to do.
So tell me, getting away from that and touring Europe, is that how does that work timing wise?
It's easy. I don't have a real job per se. I'm my own boss. Mm-hmm. I run my own business, and I can decide when I want to work or when I don't work or whatever. But, when I have to be busy, I have to be busy. And when I can plan for like going off to Belgium and, Austria and everybody, everywhere else, just, when it's necessary. But you have to plan for it. So that's how you do it.
Well, but that's
I don't have to get time off or anything. I just kind of take time off,
That's a luxury a lot of people don't have. Yeah,
it's unusual. You can do it in Europe. It's a little bit more unusual there than it is here in the States. People tend to do this more often here. It's kind of, it's a way you work the game. It's a different kind of situation.
Yeah.
I have different taxes I have to pay. The taxes are set up differently, so you have to take care of them at the end of the year and that kind of thing. It's actually similar. I did this too for a while in Europe when I was doing pure professional racing for all the race teams out there, because at the end of the year they would they show that the paperwork to inform you that they're turning this information over to the tax department of, in Germany, for example.
The receiver.
Yeah. So, I don't know, whatever. It's work. Work is work. None of us are 20 years old anymore. It's not like getting a new job and having your first job. No, I've been doing this so goddamn long. You figure out how to balance everything out a long time ago.
Yeah.
So that's how I do it out here in California.
Well, I'll tell you what, we, the fans, are grateful that the likes of you make it over to these shores and present your music. We eternally in debt.
It takes a lot of work on our part to be able to get together to do it. Let me tell you, it's not that simple. Yeah. On this tour, we had a couple of festival dates, but they weren't paying enough to pay for, like, some of the larger festivals will pay for your plane tickets. So in this case, we ordered the plane tickets really early and paid for them ourselves. and saved a bunch of money by doing it that way. But we also had to spend the money on the tickets. But around those 2 festival dates, we were able to arrange an entire tour that, you know, a 2.5 week tour. And so that's how we did that. And, you know, we made a bunch of money. So it's all about how you design your setup, you know?
So at the end of the day, can you guys return to the US and go, we actually made something?
Yeah. I bought some stupid stuff. I mean, I bought a bunch of musical shit. I bought these really expensive headphones from Bang & Olufsen. I got them because the plane flight is so awful. It's just like all you hear is like this for hours. You know? So these are noise canceling headphones. Like I just said, fuck it, man. We made a bunch of money. I'm just going to buy them. I'm going to treat myself. So I did. And they're awesome. They sound really, really good too. They're like better than my studio headphones. And they're noise canceling. And I can use them on the plane. So it's kind of cool. But, crazy, really. I mean, no one should be able to afford those things, you know, except for the uber rich. But you just kind of figure out how to make everything balance out. And then you can kind of justify buying something really special, you know?
I guess you do. Look, we had the luxury of my son and me to talking to you guys, and also Mark. We talked to Mark before the show. He was kind enough to share some martial arts tips with us. And anyway, it was great. It was so cool. It was such fun. And then watching you guys perform, obviously the song's amazing. How does it sort of, I mean, obviously it's not nightliner sort of traveling. It's a little van. And how does that feel to you? Now, obviously you're not a youngster anymore. Neither am I.
Well, it's all about being professional about it.
Yeah.
You need to like understand where people's space are, where and how it gets, you know, protected. I mean, everyone, you know, is there and, you know, 100% on the stage part of any kind of tour. But the stage part is like literally, you know, it's 1/24th of the day, you know. And, you know, if you want to break it down in hours. And so like the other 23 hours, you have to like figure out how to like, you know, get along and
how to exist
and travel and, you know, make sure that there's enough food and make sure that we sleep well and eat and sleep and, you know, all the stuff. Basically, it boils down to eating and sleeping and drinking, you know, fluids and staying healthy, and then being able to still, you know, provide entertainment for 1 hour. You know, I mean, you got to look at it clinically. It's scientifically, really. You know, when I measure stuff, that it turns out to be, you measure it that way. That's the way it is. Anyway, that's how any professional band will do it. And you need to like, you know, accrue space for each other and make sure everything happens. So, you know, we did our best to do that.
Yeah. Well, I can only say I was totally blown away by the show. By the way, for the viewers, we saw Blindillusion in Osnabrück a couple of weeks ago. Killer show. Really enjoyed it. It was so raw and energetic. Really, really loved it. And
yeah, it's an unusual band, you know. It really is, and it's I don't know. I don't mind being part of something original and unusual. You know, it's a lot more problematic to be, you know, in a band that is looking at all the other bands and trying to be like them. And, you know, I mean, that's the one thing about this band. It's like, you know, we don't try to be like anybody. I mean, I just do what I do. You know, Tom does what he does. Mark does his thing. No one does anything like what Mark does. So it's kind of easy. You just let him go. And it's like, wow, you don't have to do anything anymore. You know? And, you know, everybody's got to stand their chops.
There was such a funny incident that I captured actually on. I only captured it. I'm not one of those people that usually stand there with a cell phone and film the entire show. I just sort of do a little bit for the channel, and then I try to absorb the show and actually watch the musicians. But anyway, and it was towards the end of the show where Mark sort of pushed you towards the end so he would have enough space for his moves.
He needed, it was a small stage. So he was like, it was a protection thing, you know.
Doug, would you please move aside? That was
Yeah.
cool. No, anyway, but Doug, really, from when you guys brought out this album, I was really captured by the album straight away. Obviously, you came out of the gate with the crowbar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I hadn't heard a riff like that in ages. Really, there's a lot of
Wow.
there's a lot of releases that come out, and over the years, and you go, yeah, okay, cool, and no. And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that must be one of the riffs that really kicks my ass. I mean, it's a riff. It's not just like going 0 0 0 like
Yeah.
these modern metal bands do. It's a killer riff. It's killer. And so immediately I had to follow up on the album and get the whole thing. And I was aware of Blind Illusion way back then from, oh God, I hope I'm not making a mistake here. Speed Kills 3.
It would be, oh God, I don't know. I mean,
Oh my God. Yeah.
I mean, Mark's had various versions of this band forever.
Yeah.
And I got involved in 2017, so my memory is pretty good after 2017. But what he's done in the past is best left to, have him explain, because I wasn't there for it. And I just know that it wasn't like, a solid, stable band. It was always like pieces and people coming and going all the time. And the most stable version of the band at all, or of any version was this one. And so it is kind of fantastic, but I mean, it's all about being professional and holding it together at this point. I mean, if you don't provide some kind of vehicle that's professionally run, then it doesn't cross the finish line. That's all. I mean, seriously. I mean, I try my best to try to cover for everything that's weak and technically inadequate, and make sure it's good. Same thing with the production of the album. I mean, we did that during the COVID times, and it's like Tom and I said, well, we almost have 2 recording studios. Why don't we just bounce tracks back across the bay to each other? Because he lives in Oakland, I live in San Francisco. And so we did that for a while because everything was closed down. And one thing led to another. We started figuring out how to, we started getting the click tracks figured out. And we were, trying to get the songs written and put pieces of songs together. And slowly but surely, we had the skeleton for, God, I guess almost all the songs. Like, well, I mean, some of them are already together. Like the Crowbar song was pretty much already together. The Lucifer's Awakening was already together.
Yeah.
What else? That was basically it. We never really played Proto Molecule or Wrath of the Gods or anything. Those were assembled during the pandemic, and we put those songs together and figured out arrangements for them. Cutting and pasting with the Pro Tools, and figuring out how to do the best arrangement. And then when we were done with the click tracks, we talked to Andy Galligan, and he agreed to come in and record the record, to record the drums. And so he wound up playing the drums on all of the record.
And he's now part of your lineup.
What?
He's now a consistent part of your lineup?
He's kind of like a guy for hire, sort of. I mean, he's been in the band for, consistently for the last few years, but, I'm not really sure. I mean, he's never always in on everything. I mean, ever since he left Death Angel, it's sort of like, is he in or is he out? It doesn't matter what band he's in. So, like, he's around. He'll do something if it's good. He wanted to do the European tour, so we did that.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, back to the record. That's basically how we tried to get the record together and recording it, with the best possible production that we could at the time, without, hiring outside talent and spending, insane amounts of money. I mean, it's all about saving money as much as possible so you can make it in the end.
The album slays. It really kills.
Yeah, well, thank you. I mean, what can I say?
Done.
I mean, we worked hard on it. I worked really hard on getting the guitar tones good. We worked really hard on getting the best possible vocals, and I helped produce Mark and make sure the vocals came through as best as they could, and enunciation wise, so that you could understand the lyrics really, as best as you could. It's a big challenge trying to record vocals.
But Doug, you're quite proficient from what I understand in terms of studio technology, and is that due to just experience with past bands, Heathen, or is that due to personal interest?
Yes, both. I mean, I'm just interested in technical stuff. I build recording studios because it's fun. In the end, you can record in them, so it's kind of cool. You can get a lot of stuff accomplished all at once. But I mean, I'm just good with wires and electricity, and sound and microphones. The big thing now is collecting more and more microphones, and we have a whole bunch, which is good, but we always need more. More preamp. It sucks. But I mean, that's basically.
I definitely noticed something. I was on your side of the stage, and what I could not deny, I'm a guitarist myself, so I was just focusing on obviously you're playing, but also the sound. And wow, there's something going on there that I couldn't quite figure out for myself, but there's something on that sound that, whoa, nice, very good. And which leads me to another topic is I'm an age-old Heathen fan, huge, up to the Vixens of Deception album. I think you and me had a chat outside of the
we venue. Did.
Yeah. I'm a really big I think that the guitar sound on this album are phenomenal. It blows Metallica out of the water. It's kind of.
I learned a lot throughout all the bands I've been in, and the time in Heathen was just kind of our sound recorded well back then. I mean, the formula hasn't really changed much. You just have to have good quality sounding amps and good speakers, good microphones, good mic placement. There's the technical stuff that goes in. Then there's the processing that goes on the recorded sound. And then there's most importantly of all is how you play. So, getting your hand movements into the strings that get captured by the pickups, that's super critical. And it's 90% of the sound right there. So if you learn to play that way, then you sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan, or you sound like Eddie Van Halen, or James Hetfield, or me. I mean, I don't know what I sound like, but I just do what I do, and I hope people like it.
Everybody has their trademarks. I mean, what for me, and this is just a compliment, for me personally, I could immediately. There was certain sort of nuances where I just immediately thought, okay, that's what I heard from Heathen. That's it. Those are the trademarks that I love, and that I don't want to diss anyone. It's what I'm missing nowadays. But anyway, but we discussed that. Let's move on.
Yeah, I mean, what can I say? I mean, back those two records that we did were, they were very special records. It was us pulling really hard together and pushing as a band. And then it all fell apart, and it's all different people, and it's not the same anymore. And that's that. It's pretty simple, really. It comes down to the hand movements and how it's captured by the strings into the pickups. Different people, I mean, you can't just instantly replace anybody. You can get close, but it's kind of nice to when someone's hard to replace, because I mean, if you're that guy, because then it's like you can tell when it's not that person. But it's like, that's why they don't have Eddie Van Halen tribute shows. They can't figure out who's supposed to play the Eddie Van Halen part.
Who's gonna?
There was talk about Joe Satriani playing, but. It's like it all fell apart because the internals of that band won't really allow it. And, there's other drama that goes on with that stuff. But, it's hard to replace certain people. If you have a generic player, it's easy to replace them. But if you have someone who's really worked hard to get their style, it's more difficult,
To me personally, I mean Satriani is definitely a phenomenal player. Don't get me wrong, but I think he would lack the the sort of spontaneity of an Eddie Van Halen. You know, Eddie was always like this cat that you just let out of the bag.
Yeah, it's a different. I mean, it's not the
animal.
same. Everyone has their influences. You know, I mean, I have Eddie Van Halen influences in what I personally like, and you know, kind of were influenced by. But you know, as for, I mean, I don't know, man. I don't go for this. There are guys that emulate players perfectly. You know, you can find them. They're out there. I mean, I know plenty of Van Halen tribute bands that, you know, where the guitar players try as hard as they can to emulate, and they do a pretty good job at it. So,
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, that could be a possibility. But guys are just,
then it's
I don't
really,
know, man.
If you want to earn money, cool. You know, if you want to revolutionize rock, no, I guess not.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's more about in the direction of how do you do something that's so different and original that people can remember you for it, you know, and we owe that to Hendrix and Van Halen, and you know, Brian May from Queen. We owe a lot of guitar layering techniques and harmony techniques and echo stuff from him, and also from the Edge, you know, from U2, and
Totally.
God, everybody. There's so many great players. You know, there's Uli, obviously, and Schenker, and these are super feeling, excellent players. There's Stevie Ray Vaughan. I mean, these guys just exude feeling, and that's so important. You know, I mean, you might notice that I mentioned a whole bunch of players that have a lot of feeling. I look past the ones that don't really have it. The ones that really move you and that send shivers up your spine. That's it. That's where you want to be. You know, especially if you want to get influenced. And I don't know. That's what I look to.
No, but that's what captured me, especially when you broke into the lead work live. Now I'm talking about the gig, and that's definitely speaks volumes to me. And you know, but I mean, to get back to it, I mean, the Heathen might continue now, and they might speak to a different audience now, but I think they're missing out on something. It's for me personally, but maybe.
Well,
but you speak German, Doug, and
yes, I do.
People would call me here ewig gestriger. Means I live in the past.
Kann sein.
Like, yeah, well.
Vorwärtsdenken ist immer wichtig auch.
Vorwärtsdenken ist auch wichtig, ja. But, you know, I'm probably ewig gestrig, and but, you know, I don't believe in always saying the past was bad. There was some good shit, you know.
Oh yeah, look at Hendrix.
Yeah.
You know, I still listen to Hendrix and get inspired. I mean, that live album, Band of Gypsies, has got stuff on there on certain passages of that record that are just absolutely groundbreaking, and no one can touch them. And it's like, as a little boy, I learned by listening to that record, I was amazed by the sounds he was getting. Same with the live album Made in Japan, with what Blackmore was doing. Those two guys were using strats, and they were using vibrato bars and feedback in ways that were just sonically out of this world. I still am just amazed when I hear the feedback that Hendrix was capable of conjuring. I mean, it's about, I mean, I'm really into feedback myself, and using the vibrato and manipulating the feedback. And it's a big part of what I really like.
It's not easy.
I use it all the time without thinking about it. But the thing is if it wasn't for those two records, I wouldn't be anywhere near as far along. Those ones were super groundbreaking. And so I tend to really look towards those two records for inspiration of how to get feedback and work with those kind of like vibrato techniques, you know, where, and you notice probably I don't use these Floyd Rose guitars. Yes. I have a bunch, but you know, it's more of a challenge to fight with the real stuff. Yes. And they're very, very soft, and the feeling is much easier to get when you don't have the locking vibrato and all the, you know, the more brutal bridge setup and all that. I mean, it doesn't go out of tune. Don't get me wrong. I got no problems with staying in tune, and I don't stay in tune perfectly either. you can't get those guitars to stay perfectly in tune. You can get them once you break them in. The strings go into an area of time versus of use. Takes a little while, and then once you get in there, it's like there's a long period of time where the strings are really stable, and you can keep the whole thing very well in tune. I mean, not perfect. The G string will still go sharp, but you learn tricks to keep it. You push it back and keep it going. It's all about lubrication of the nut, and there's tricks. But it's not so much about that. It's all about understanding how the feeling is. I mean, the Floyd Rose is really cool too. You can pull up for, a couple of weeks, and next week you can say, damn, I'm still going up, Can't do that with a standard vibrato, but just listen to what Hendrix did. You don't even need it. What Hendrix did with a stock vibrato that would go out of tune, he didn't even know how to set it up very well, but he was just a master at tone, and his technique.
Yeah.
Same with Blackmore. Blackmore was fearless. He would do stuff, and he'd go sharp too. His strings would go sharp. You can hear it on the live album. But I'll straighten them out and retune and get past it. But it's insane.
The old
anyway, I think a lot of my personal style is a little bit, my hat goes off to those guys because I learned everything from them. What do I know? I just copy.
Tell me, Doug, were you instrumental in the covering of Killer King?
We all were big Rainbow fans, and that one came about, and I was the one that played it first. I remember I was in the studio, and I said, well, why don't we play Killer King? It sounds great. We can play it heavy like this. And that's the way we wound up playing it, and it wound up getting recorded pretty much the same way. And that was a lot of fun. That's a great song. Great cover. Dave did a good job on the vocals too, which is really excellent.
Timeless.
I mean, considering, you got to answer to Dio for that one.
Absolutely. One day you'll have to answer. But now you guys you've been in Europe, and what are the plans? Are you currently just?
We're sort of.
Lasst ihr den lieben Gott einen guten Mann sein, oder arbeitet ihr schon an einem neuen Album?
Wir haben schon Pläne, die haben die revolvieren, um neue Sachen aufzunehmen. Und wir werden sehen, wie weit es kommt. Im Moment machen wir ein bisschen Pause. Ich gehe nach Hawaii demnächst, nächste Woche. In November, Dezember werden wir gucken, was wir haben für. Wir haben eine Menge Ideen. Die sind aber nicht zusammengebastelt und zusammen formiert und arrangiert. Wir werden sehen, wie das geht und wie weit das wir kommen. Und schauen wir, wo der Gesang kommt und wie das kommt, und mal schauen. Also so unheimlich wichtig, Entschuldigung, so unheimlich schnell muss das auch nicht gehen.
Nee,
wir müssen nur schauen, dass es weitergeht.
Absolut. Amazing, Doug. How did you pick up on the German?
Aufpassen.
Aufpassen, zuhören.
Muss man lesen, mit Leuten plaudern? Nein. Ich habe jede Menge Zeitschriften gelesen, Schulkurse genommen, aufgepasst, mit Leuten einfach unterhalten, ohne Ende.
Did you spend some time in Germany?
Ja, 15 Jahre in Düsseldorf.
Oh, wow. Okay, wow. Now
das erklärt alles.
Das erklärt alles. But what brought you to Germany? Was it musical or career-wise?
Ich brauchte eine dringende Pause hier vom Bay Area, from America, from the USA, from alles. Ich habe Wanderlust bekommen, und nach dem Tournee mit Sepultura damals, und die Verlust von dem Plattenvertrag, das ist eine andere Geschichte, muss ich nicht unbedingt darüber reden.
Wow.
Naja, nachdem habe ich einfach entschieden, nach Deutschland umzuziehen, einfach zu gucken und schauen, was noch gibt, was es für ein Abenteuer gibt in Europa, was ich gerade unheimlich
Doug, you're
schön.
disappearing.
Oops. Yeah.
But it was very dramatic. Sort of drowning.
The telephone here. Yeah, the phone's leaning up on something. Anyway, so yeah, the whole thing was. I mean, I was just getting really tired of living in the Bay Area. There was problems with my family. You know, I had kind of a ugly breakup with my girlfriend, and there was just like the band was really falling apart after that tour. There was like a lot of trouble on that tour, and then we lost the record deal because of that tour and because of what happened on it, and it was really a bad time for the band. And I just said, you know what, maybe this is a good time for me to go do something different for a while. So I went over to Europe in 1991 and threw myself into that, tried to figure out how to speak the language.
Wow. Respect.
And just try something different. And, you know, I mean, in time, I was going to set up and do another band. I had a band in Koblenz called The Company that started in 1994. But for the first couple of years, it was like hardcore, like, whoa, how am I going to do this? You know, 1991 to 94 was really interesting because it was just me working and living in Dusseldorf and trying to, and going to the Dynamos and, you know, involving myself in shows and meeting musicians and so on. But yeah, and then slowly but surely, you learn how to speak it with everybody, and you know how you can read and write and do everything. And I don't know, it's not that hard. You just pay attention.
No, but respect for you to do that, to just go over and you know, wow. I mean, I myself.
Yeah, a lot of people. I can see a lot of people having fear of trying to do something like that, but for me, it was just an adventure. I knew I could do it. It was, you know, I just needed to figure it out. I mean, I still have a terrible American accent.
Gee, but
I'm never going to get rid of it. You know, everybody tells me they like it. I think they're crazy.
I love it. It's very sincere. It comes across very, very well. Damn, now that is, I really respect that for you to come over to Germany and just sort of dive in, and amazing.
Cool. Yeah, it was either Deutschland or Holland. I really like Holland too. I still do.
Holland is amazing.
I mean, they're just really beautiful examples of first world countries, you know. In the United States, it's still pretty third world in a lot of ways. They are really loud and obnoxious people. We love being Americans and all that, but there's a lot of problems with, you know, trying to. I mean, if you look and see how other people around the world in Japan or Germany or Holland, even France and Great Britain, you know, it's miles above the way, you know, the infrastructure functions in the two countries, or you know, in the United States against all these other first world countries. And it's just frustrating for me because these idiots here, they say, well, it's America #1, we're so great, and it's just like, really, how come our roads are in worse shape than anything you've ever seen, and how come there is so many problems with, you know, the government and with social systems and so on? I mean, there's so much greed, and there's so much. It's greed and looking out for yourself a lot more than it is about everyone collectively as a nation. You know, like, how can you be proud of a nation where no one wants to help each other? And that's basically it. You know, I mean, in Germany, people still help each other. You know, there's some stupid laws in Germany that I really don't like the whole thing about Sunday Ruhetag, you can't work on your cars or do anything. That's a bunch of bullshit. And I always got in trouble because I was always working on my own stuff. And to me, it's like my free day. It's like I'm going to be doing something.
Obviously.
And well, it's just, that's some different mindset. That's how I grew up. And all the stores are open late in the United States. So there's good things, believe me.
Definitely.
But when everybody gets so, if you look at the Republicans, like all this bullshit with Trump and all that, it just really illuminates how selfish people can actually be and not look out for your your brother across the street, that kind of thing. And that's kind of a bummer. And it's gotten really bad since Trump came around, So
yeah.
We're not through all that yet. It's really embarrassing to me.
He's apparently running for re-election. It's quite amazing.
Yeah, it's extremely amazing. But, how that all works out remains to be seen.
Yeah.
There's problems with the other side, too. I mean, there is no good answers real easily, so that complicates everything immensely. So,
I mean, a lot of people are calling Biden a senile, whatever.
He is. It's terrible.
He is probably too old for it, and
he is.
It's
a disaster.
But Doug, it's no better on our side. We have a government at the moment that's just sort of also, the economy is breaking down. Yeah, so it's interesting to see. Yeah,
there's been some fundamental mistakes done in Germany too. I mean, I'm pretty aware of it. I stay in touch pretty closely. I have lots of friends over there too, just like you. And I talk about, I get both sides, and both sides have strong arguments. I mean, this whole thing about way too many immigration examples getting in and using up all the funding for the Rentenversicherung is really bad. It's really bad, and it's just like what are you thinking? And there's other problems too, like pushing the green stuff as hard as you can to the point of where, I mean, the infrastructure of Germany is not set up. It's very similar to the United States. It's not set up to have all these charging cables coming out of everybody's, windows in every Eigentumswohnung or, the Wohnungen everywhere. Everybody lives in a Wohnung,
Exactly.
And it's like, how are you going to run these stupid cars? It's not going to happen.
Look, I mean, I think everything, I'm not against, you have to do something, but the way they doing it, it's just with the Vorschlaghammer, it's like,
it's Vorschlaghammer, absolutely.
It's like, overnight, but you can't.
No, it isn't overnight.
And
du kannst niemals über Nacht denken. Deswegen frage ich mich blöd, wie kann man ein intelligenter Mensch das nicht kapieren, dass es einfach nicht über Nacht geht. Schlicht unmöglich.
And
ist so.
This country
Here all.
This country was built on automotive and Krupp Stahl, all that shit. And you want to sort of kill that all. I mean, there's a lot of pros and cons. It's really scary. Yeah,
it is scary.
But you guys have got a scary situation on your side as well. I mean, it's also gonna go. I'm amazed that Trump is actually going. Obviously, he's saying all the right words now with regards to Putin and all that. So it remains to be seen.
It's super complicated. I mean, this conversation, you and I should talk about this for a while. I mean, but not on this interview.
Oh, no.
But it's very complicated, and it's not that simple. There's reasons why people like Trump can, get people excited and want to vote for them. There's also reasons that it's complicated, but it has to do with it's not so much intelligence. It's more like education. A lot of these people are just like misinformed. They're targeted very hard by propaganda. That happens also in Deutschland. It happens everywhere in the world. With all of our internet media, it's more of a problem now than it's ever been. So this is why both countries, I mean, we're talking about the two countries here, have similar problems. And it's not ever, and let's just wrap it up like this. It's never going to, my opinion, really, is it's never going to be wrapped up by anything extreme on the left or the right. It's going to only be solved by people in the center that are going to make the hard decisions.
Yeah.
The hard decisions have to be made, and they need to make them. And once those hard decisions are made and it hurts enough, people are going to start to realize that, that was kind of a brutal decision for, all the people on the one side, but at least we can kind of move forward. If you get everything up to about maybe 11 o'clock and 1 o'clock in terms of, 12 o'clock in the center, then you're going to start having some progress. You're going to get nowhere if everybody's like 100% at 5 o'clock and 7 a.m. It's just impossible. They're just going to hate on each other, and we're going to have AFD take over, and they're going to start killing everybody and deporting everybody, and gas chambers, and fuck all that. And that's not going to happen.
It's really,
but it's like that here too. In the United States, it's like that too, and they're starting to make these terrible comparisons to, how it was in the 30s, and it's ugly. And I really don't want to hear it because the solutions are so much easier than they think. You just need to stop with the propaganda and stop getting everybody so angry, and when they realize that there's nobody wins if everyone's angry, then the problem is that the anger or the negativity sells. Yes, so there's money made from it.
It does.
So
it just fuels everything. And I think you're completely right. I think the solution lies somewhere in the middle, and it has to be something that's mild, and that's neither on the left or the right. That sort of, yeah.
I mean,
I guess
it's like in Deutschland, you have the Grüne. They want windmills everywhere, and that's all fine and dandy as long as people want them, and they want the electrical cars and all that. Well, that's all fine and dandy, but you can't just do it in 10 years. And there's another thing too that everybody needs to remember: the emergency vehicles are always going to have to be run on fuels, because there's just no way that these special niche electro cars that can be used much like trains, because the trains are electric, but you can't take a train to grandmother's house down in the Eiffel. Yeah. Well, maybe you can get close, but you're not going to get right there. So especially if it's like the flood conditions, and so like that, it's always those.
I find an announcement like we're going to get all the burners, Verbrenner, out of the system by so and so. I find that stupid. Why not just have a smooth transition and just
exactly? A smooth transition is all that anybody ever needs. Exactly. But because they're not saying it like that, they incite all this hatred and getting everybody all mad, and now they think the whole solution is to go AFD. It's like, really? Why can't you just say it differently and people won't get so upset? I mean, everybody understands that there's lots of ways that you can utilize solar power to charge your cars. I mean, I will say this: in California, there's a lot of the solar stuff going on with the car charging. And here's what it is: it's almost like, it's really dangerous to have cables coming out of every house and going out in the street and dangling through the air and having everybody fall and get hurt on their stupid cables, and cables everywhere. It's like, this is really, that's what we have to have for our future. Inside of Deutschland, it's worse, because they're going to be hanging out of Eigentumswohnungen, Wohnungen everywhere. It's out the windows, and it's going to be so asozial that nobody's going to want to deal with it, And the infrastructure of tearing up the streets and making it so that you can't justify the costs. I mean, what the hell are they thinking? I mean, that's in Deutschland, because there's so many, in this Innenstadt, it's like that. It's
I'm living here. I always thought this was like first world. There we go. And I spent my life. I grew up in Namibia, and I think, there's stuff happening here now where I thought that was that's only possible in Africa. The sort of nepotism, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it's now showing up here. So yeah. Anyway, but yeah.
Anyway, so
you're perfectly right, Doug. I mean, I think everything.
I wanted to say one last thing. The way it's gotten here in the States is, it's like, if you want to have one of these Teslas, for example, you need to justify and prove that you have enough space on your land to provide the charging facilities for the car. So, if you can't prove that you have the land, like if you're in this, it's really frustrating because it really needs to be done this way because it's going to destroy the electrical infrastructure, which is already really in poor shape. It's very third world. Our infrastructure, electrical infrastructure, is laughable compared to Deutschland. Deutschland's everything's underground and all intelligently set up. Not so in California. We have all the wires in the air. They're all suspended by wooden poles that are all rotting.
Crazy
And they
shit.
fall down all the time, and there's sparks, and they cause wildfires, and everybody loses everything, and all the houses get burned up, and all that stuff is traceable to this poor electrical infrastructure. So now they're talking about putting all these electric cars on it, and it's like it's insane because it can't sustain it, and they're already bankrupt. It's bankrupt complete, it's awful. So if you were able to prove that you have enough land where you could put up solar panels and get subsidized from the government or something for that, then you should be able to have your car. But if you don't, and you think you're going to plug it into RVE, Grün, what is it? RVE that's the power generation in Dusseldorf.
Yeah, yeah.
And they're supposed to like charge up your car for you with what? Fossil fuels. It's like it's laughable. It's laughable.
To me, it's just a dislocation of the problem. Really, it's like I never understood this electric car thing because the energy has to be produced somewhere. So whether the fumes or whatever get pushed out into the air at a big power station or whether it happens here on the street, I didn't quite connect there. It's kind of
there's a lot of disconnection, but nothing's really thought.
But Doug, you and me know this saying, out of sight, out of mind.
The thing is like in Germany, I've seen there's just a ridiculous amount of people that haven't thought it through. You need to have an intelligent guy to sit there. Well, what about this and that and this? It's not about where they dig up all the materials for the batteries. That's a different kind of a problem. We're talking about the simple one. How do you get the power into the batteries? Where's it going to come from? Is it only going to be from wind and solar? I got no problem with that. That's great. As long as it doesn't come from RVE. Because if it does, then there's no point. RVE is already struggling with gas problems because of the Ukraine war and because of the pipelines. And it's like, hello, how stupid are you?
No, apparently they're running coal now. So,
well, of course, because they've already turned off all the atomic power, which is really hilarious. Like,
which is
God.
Which is anti everything that our neighboring states are doing. So, yeah, well,
it's insane.
It's really mind-boggling.
The atomic industry in Deutschland was not a bad industry. I mean, they never had any mistakes, as far as I know. I mean, there may be cover-ups. I don't know that, but
that might be
any kind of. If you have a first world country, of which I spent 15 years living in, and you still are there, obviously you're going to know how to regulate a nuclear reactor setup, or 10 of them within the country. And why can't they just continue to be regulated? They already know how to store the used control rods.
Oh, look, I mean,
you put them in salt mines, and at least for the time being, until the solar shit gets really on board and they can figure this out. But you're not going to do it overnight.
But there we get back to the topic. It's not going to happen overnight. That's it.
So that's the title of this whole story. It ain't going to happen overnight.
So that's the next album. It ain't going to happen overnight.
Something like that. Exactly. Anyway.
Oh, man. It's been great chatting. So
yeah, crazy, isn't it?
I'm looking forward to seeing you guys here again. What can I say?
Yeah.
And I really hope that obviously you guys are doing it all in your own tempo, and you need to, for sure. No need to get caught into the rat race of delivering an album every year kind of stuff. But you have me hooked. I enjoyed the material. I enjoyed it live. And really, I'm looking forward to everything else you bring out. And It was really a pleasure seeing you guys. It was nice chatting at the venue.
Yeah, that was great. That was a good conversation.
Oh, it was good fun. It was good fun.
Passing on the guitar techniques to the young guys.
The young guy. By the way, I told my son to hook up with Doug, like you said. He was like, oh.
Not that hard.
I think he's a little bit intimidated. So
I'll send you photos of all the details. I'll torture you with technical shit because that's what I do, you know. But yeah, we can keep this going. Just hit me up next time you got any questions, or if you want to go in a direction of something, and I'll let you know where we are. You know, where I am, where we all are collectively, because like we kind of all do sort of different projects. It's just you know, I've known Mark forever, and this whole thing started in 2017 because he was supposed to play the Headbangers Open Air, and he didn't really have a band together. So I said, hey, you know, I should really help you out. We should get a really solid band so you can go out there and do something really cool. And that's when he went out and he did some kung fu then too. It was kind of hilarious, but it was really exciting for all the people. They'd never seen anything like it. And
that's unique.
It was what?
That's unique.
Yeah, I know. So, I mean, and right away, you know, Oliver from KIT got in touch and wanted to know how to book the band for Keep It True, which was cool too. You know, it's all based on the uniqueness, I guess. You know, and you know, I mean, it's not all. I mean, none of these bands are. You know, there's always trouble with bands, and you know, trying to get something to happen, but it's worth it if you can still take advantage of the unique stuff, and then the people that come to the shows can see it. So I get all that. I understand it. But, you know, the idea is to keep it so that it's still possible to do. So we just kept doing it. And now we're at this point. And we'll see where we go from now. You know, I mean, Mark is still kind of completely insane. You know, we'll see what he comes up with for the next stuff. I mean, if it's great shit, you know, there's no question about the fact that we're going to record and release all of it, you know. But if it's just marginal stuff, maybe we'll just go, what else we got, you know, and look around, see what else we got.
Keep that natural vibe going.
Oh, yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. So, killer. All right, well, listen, it's been really great talking to you. And
Doug, thanks for taking the time. I know you're busy.
I'll send a bunch of photos.
Do that.
Also, all sorts of technical shit, studio photos. You can see what's going on.
Awesome.
All right.
Doug, I'll be
posting you have a good night
for the album underneath the video, and I'll let you know when it's up.
Oh yeah, one last thing. We're about to release a video. I'll send it to you. It's going to happen, I think, this week.
Oh wow.
Another one. I'll show you. I'll let you know.
Yeah.
I'll put the link in with you, and you can see it.
Okay, I'll wait for that before I post anything.
All right, killer. Sounds good, man. Cheers. Have a good one.
Have a good one. Ciao.
All right, man.
Protection, I witness my rebirth at every return inspection. As the goddess breathes life in every orifice and pore, I re-enter my body and I live once more. So leave the grit out your ears and the sweat out your eyes, and they throw the book at me straight as the crowbar flies. As the crowbar flies, straight as the crowbar flies, straight as the crowbar flies, straight as the crowbar flies. the sister of the mother of the church of the whore of Babylon. So they can grit out your ears and sweat out your eyes when they throw the book at me, straight as the crowbar flies. 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 Life in every orifice and pore, I re-enter my body and I live once more. So they can grit out your ears and sweat out your eyes when they throw the book at me, straight as the crowbar flies. Straight as